In this video, we're going to work on using the Casio Graphical Calculator FX CG100, working with Chapter 2 from the A-level textbook on quadratics. So we've got three problems we're going to work through. First one is we're going to try and solve x squared minus 2x minus 15 equals 0 using the calculator. So we're going to do it a couple of different ways. First of all, we're going to use the equation app on the calculator. So to do that, I'm in home. I've gone to home. I'm going to scroll down to equation, which is here. Oh, now you'll see that on the actual calculator in real life, rather than the emulator, the equation app is next to the home, the calculate. Ooh. So the equation app is here, which is next to calculate. I don't know why it's in a different place on the app. So let's scroll down on the emulator and go into equation. So when we get in there, we've got choice simultaneous, polynomial, solver. There's potentially more, but we want polynomial. So we're going to go down to polynomial, and press OK. It will ask us what's the degree of your polynomial, and the current degree we're working on, oh, it doesn't say, is this one here with the x squared, x and a naught. So we don't want the x cubed and the x to the 4. So we're going to press OK on that, and then it's going to ask us to input the coefficients of x squared, x, etc. So for us, the coefficient of x squared is 1, and then we want -2. So we can put in -2 by doing shift and then subtraction. So I'll do that, shift, and then that will give us a -2. Press execute to put the number in, but you can just use takeaway. So you can use -15 for the takeaway 15. And this automatically is working with equals to 0. So that's enough. We then press execute, and it will give us a solution of 5 and -3. Okay. If you notice along the bottom of the screen, you have editor and result. So you can use these tab buttons that I've talked about previously to move between those two. So if I press the left tab, I go back to the polynomial, and then the right tab takes me back to the result. Okay, so that's that. The other way that I want us to practice working on this is to use the solve n function in calculate. So we're going to go to the calculate app on the menu, and we need to go to catalog to go to solve n. So if we scroll down to function analysis, go into there, and then we want to come all the way down to number 5, solve equation. So use the cursors to come down, and okay. So it will bring up solve n with a blue bracket that we then are going to put our equation in that we need to solve. So this time we're not just entering the coefficients, we're entering the whole thing. So to get x squared, to get x, I press this button here, which is underneath the shift button. So x, and then I'm going to square, and then I need to take away 2x and take away 15. And then I'm going to get this turquoise equal sign here, I would need to press shift and then the open bracket. So open the bracket. And then I need to put 0 in. So 0. Okay. That's it. Press execute, and it will warn you that there's many other solutions may exist. So you press OK, and then it gives us the solutions in the curly whirly brackets, -3 and 5. Okay, so let's have a look at number 2, which is asking us to solve a different type of quadratic. Well, it's a quadratic, it's just not necessarily in a form that we would love. So say you had something like this, you wouldn't really be able to use the equation app because it's not, the equation as it's given is not in that form, x squared x and a constant equals 0. So it's going to take you work to do that. I would say, like I probably should have said this at the beginning, for all of these problems, the calculator, you're just using the calculator to check. You have to do all of these on your own, not on your own, but you have to sit and work them out algebraically, and the calculator is just a source of like checking. So I always, whenever I see an exam question, I always think, can I check this on my calculator after I've done it algebraically myself to like check to be secure that I've got it right, all right? And then if it's not, maybe I would go and check on what I'd done algebraically. So what I would do for this one is I would just do solve n. I don't want to, obviously I would be manipulating this 2x minus 3 all squared is 25. I would be multiplying out the bracket in my working, but if I want to check it on the calculator, I want to check it kind of as it is as much as possible so that I've not made any mistakes, if that makes sense. So let's put that in. So solve n again. Now, so we go to catalogue. And I'm going to show you another way. If you've used solve n, and I use it quite a lot, it will be in the history section of the catalogue. So if I press on history, you will see there solve n. And as you're using certain things in the catalogue, they'll appear there, and you can like pin them there so that they stay. So if you want to use inequalities or absolute things that we'll talk about in the future, you can kind of have a list of them there that you use more than others. So let's do that. So I get the solve n again. Now I need another bracket for this, so I'm going to use open bracket. When you do that, it kind of gets rid of the closed blue. We'll finish that off in a minute. So 2, and then the algebraic x, take away 3, close the bracket. Oh, I already have got the red bracket closed, so I want to cursor to the right to make that squared. Squared is underneath the catalogue. I need an equal sign now, so the equals is shift and then open bracket, and then 25. But then I need to close that blue bracket there. So the brackets, oh dear, I did too many. Let's delete. So delete is this button here next to the AC. You should always see your brackets in pairs, like color coded. So when I'm done, which I am, press execute. More solutions may exist. Okay. And then it gives me my solutions there. So hopefully they match with whatever I've done when I've done it algebraically. The last thing is, number 3 is asking us to write this expression, this quadratic expression, in this form. So this form is completing the square form. So we would have done that. We need to do that algebraically. I'm actually going to do it here now. So let's choose a pen. Yeah. And so I would do that by taking 2 out of the first 2 terms. Like that. And then completing the square of what's inside this bracket. So I'm halving the 4, completing that square, and then subtracting 2 squared. Okay, the 2 then multiplies by the bracket and by the 4. And then I've got the plus 7 there. So I have 2 lots of x plus 2 all squared, take away 1. So I've answered their question, I've written it in that form. What I can do, I mean, this is quite niche. Not everybody's going to be doing this all the time. But like I said, I just try and find as many ways as I can to check things on the calculator. What you're going to do for this is use the graph mode, which we'll be using a lot more in future chapters. So I'm going to go to home and come down to graph mode, and I'm going to put the expression as it was right at the beginning. So 2x all squared plus 8x plus 7. And then press execute to give me another line to draw an equation, to put a function in. And then I'm going to put the new one that I wrote in the different form. So 2 brackets x plus 2, close the bracket, all of that is squared, and then take away 1. And then I want to draw those. So press execute. I'm actually going to, I didn't need that y3, so I'm going to come down here to draw graph. We'll talk about some of these later. I can change the axes. I'm just going to press OK and hope that how it looks there will work. So there I can see the red. If the red, let me go back to the graph. The way I went back to the graph there, let me show you that, sorry, is I can use these tabs to move between the function and the graph. So the right tab will take me back to the graph. The left tab will take me back to the functions. So these things are telling me that that graph will be drawn with blue, this graph will be drawn in red. So I can only see the red one. I can see it there. If I go back to the function, let's delete the red one. So to delete, if I press tools and come all the way down you'll get delete, and you delete that formulae. Okay. And then let's draw that graph. Draw, and then you'll see the blue one there. So the blue one was hidden by the red one, which basically means they were the same graph, which means they're the same function with a y, and therefore the same expression. So then I know I've completed the square correctly. All right. Yeah, so that's how I would use the calculator to work with quadratics. All right. Yeah, next thing, chapter 3, which I think is inequalities and equations, like simultaneous equations. All right,